that passage and that idea opened my eyes to looking at some of these things differently. And where it ends, with Eli finding this, describing the way he experiences a mountain on all fours, and that there's something so kind of sensual about it and what he sees there
Yeah.
that maybe other people don't get to see, was also one of the first times that I thought about disability, my disability, as something exciting. That there's everything around us everywhere tells us that
Yeah.
there's, basically one kind of body that is the right body. It's a
Yeah.
non-disabled, white, cis, probably male body, right?
Yep.
Um, Most of us are not that thing, and or all of those things. And for, you know, my 30 years in this disabled body, I didn't encounter really until I read this book that maybe this is good enough. My body is good enough. And not
Mm.
only that, it's wonderful and as valuable, and will have strengths and insights, that are unique,
Yeah.
as does everyone else.
What shifted for you when you started when you had that moment of acceptance, or at least beginning that moment of acceptance around this is something to get excited about, not something to manage around?
Everything changed.
Wow.
Short answer. I mean,
Yeah.
this book, and reading this book, it came at the same time in my life that I made my prosthetic leg very visible. I wear a prosthesis that's covered in flowers. It looks hand
Gorgeous. I mean,
painted.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
It is my favorite accessory. It goes with everything.
It totally
Um,
does.
so it's this beautiful prosthetic leg, and for many years I kept my prosthesis hidden and tried to pass for being two-legged, wanted to pass, and it wasn't so much that it was a secret that I only had one leg, but I did try to keep it um, private, from
Right.
employers, from audiences as a performer, because of the real worry that I would be discriminated against, or that
Mm.
people would fixate on this part of my being. And so when I got the flower leg, that started to change how I talked about my disability, how people interacted with me about it. And I read this book around the same time. And so there was kind of a few, ideas bubbling up and aligning for me. And it changed how I stand in a room. It changed the clothes I choose and how I want to look, or be seen, and what I want to draw attention to. Um, I, in challenging my thinking about disability, I started to feel much more empowered, in who I am, in the experiences I've had, and in making that shift of like, oh, this isn't a problem with me. There are
Right.
all these problems around me. It's not my fault. I'm
Right.
not, the broken one here. There's all these other broken ideas and elevators. um, and and so it changed. It just changed how I feel, honestly,
Yeah.
in a daily way. Um, and it changed the conversations I have.
I mean, I think this is a bit different, but I think there's a connection here. Because I've had a similar moment with having a cleft lip and palate. Now, cleft lip and palate, you're born as a kid with an opening in the top of your palate, the top of your mouth, and on your lip as well. Now, you get sewn up when you're really young, less than one or at the most two, so you don't remember any of that. But what I do remember is a moment where I realized, having a cleft lip and palate, this may not be a bug, it might be a feature.
Hmm.
Because what I do, in part, some of my time anyway, is I speak on stages. And having a cleft lip and a palate and a speech disability that's connected to that makes me different. But in some ways, it also makes me more accessible to people because I don't, I'm not super polished, I'm not flawless. I've got that slight point of difference, and people can perhaps build a bridge there.
Right.
There are other speakers that I've certainly seen where I'm like, you know what, you are so polished that I can't actually really fully connect with you. You're somehow slightly less than human. and I'm messy and I'm human. I mean, there may be a different form of connection that happens through that. Because you're right, I think you can go, this isn't a disadvantage, it's actually an advantage. Perhaps it does shift everything.
Yeah. And I think, similar to what you were just saying, I had this experience a few years ago where I made my maternity photos from my pregnancy with my daughter. I wrote an article for CBC Parents about disability and representation. And I thought I was publishing those photos for other people with disabilities who were, you know, pregnant or thinking about pregnancy. And because there was very little out there, like when I did a Google image search,
Right.
there was not a lot out there. And I thought, okay, at least now my pictures will be one of the things available. But
Yes.
those photos went viral.
Mm,
And all this attention happened, in the span of a week or something. But this moment of these viral photos and all of this attention and all of these people responding to them. And what I realized is that everyone is impacted by that homogenous depiction, right?
right.
Everyone kind of consciously, if there's someone who is marginalized or is not well represented, definitely feels it explicitly. But even people want to see difference. They want to see their family and their friends and their community represented because most
Right.
people feel kind of left out of that narrow depiction. And so, like you're saying, with being a speaker and being more accessible, it's the word like the double meaning, but like I realized in with these photos being viral, it's like, oh, everyone wants that. Everyone wants to see
Right.
different bodies shown. As beautiful, as strong on a stage with a microphone. Like, we need to be lifting up all these differences because I think most
Mm.
people, even if they don't realize it, are kind of starved for it.
That's interesting. Is there a connection here to shame in some way? I'm I'm wondering if there's a moment of being able to be ashamed and then move beyond shame in terms of part of this acceptance.
Hmm. Yes. I I definitely felt shame about the way that I walked, my gait, the way that clothes fit over my prosthesis, um, the way that I look without my prosthetic leg. I mean, my prosthetic leg, especially now it's so visible and it looks really cool and in part robot and all that, but it looks like a leg, it's a leg shape.
Yeah.
And I think because of like Hollywood movies, people kind of have a sense of like robot legs or what they would do. Um, Without my prosthesis, I mean, it was one thing with the viral photos. It's the first photos I've done where I took it off.
Right.
And I definitely encountered and had to challenge my feelings of shame around my stump, like around my amputated
Yeah.
limb, because, gosh, who said it? Someone will find the quote. If you don't see it, you can't be it. And there's so much else that gets taught with that message, when we don't see ourselves represented. It's not just like, oh, maybe I can't be a speaker or a supermodel, but it's actually like, oh, maybe there's also something wrong with you.
Right.
It's kind
Right.
of that the secondary message in that, right? Um, and so to embrace my flower leg, to make, not just a visible disability, but point a neon sign to it, to take it off in photos, to decorate it and kind of celebrate it was
Yeah.
absolutely to challenge and walk through shame and face all of those, supposed ideals of what a body should look like and dress like and move like. Um, and that stuff hurts, right? Shame hurts.
Yeah.
I feel like shame and betrayal are like the two, can I swear we've already have fucking
You can
worst
swear.
feelings.
Yeah. Right.
um, and so it's hard work to face shame, but I think absolutely when we're doing work of self-acceptance, whatever that is about us, about our stories, who we
Yeah.
are, that's a hard piece, but I think it's always present.
And I do just want to appreciate the work you do in that, bringing some of the stuff into the light and just saying, this is it, and I'm okay. As your book title says, I had to lose everything. And it's like I've lost so much and I'm still okay. Hey, it's MBS here. If you've got a question you'd like me to try and answer for you, two ways to send it. Either drop it into the comments below or email me directly at teammbs@mbs.works.